Sir, may I come in?
Come in.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Have your seat, Faizan.
Thank you, sir.
Comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Faizan, all the precautions for COVID should be taken, and that we are taking here. Maintaining distance among us. Your
Yes.
chair has also been kept at a distance of 11-12 feet.
Thank you, sir.
And hopefully you have taken vaccine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you may remove your mask if you wish.
So I'm comfortable because.
Okay, so
in
show
UPSC
your
also
face
I'll be-
once to verify. Faizan Ahmed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Put it on.
Thank you, sir.
Introduce yourself.
Sir, myself Faizan Ahmed. I belong to Kota, Rajasthan. My schooling has been from St. Paul School, Kota. Afterwards, I graduated in mechanical engineering with a degree of Bachelor of Technology in 2018. And since then, I have been preparing for UPSC Civil Services exam. My optional is anthropology, and this is my second attempt and my first interview. My hobbies are traveling, playing and watching football, and watching historical documentaries. Apart from that, I would like to describe myself as a person with honesty and integrity. I'm compassionate and hardworking, and because of that, sometimes I take a lot of responsibility for myself, which sometimes I found hard to fulfill. Overall, I would say that I'm a cheerful and a jolly person. So.
Okay, so you have studied mechanical engineering. You passed out in 2018.
Yes, sir.
Did you participate in campus placement?
Yes, sir. I did participate.
Did you get any offer from any company?
Yes, sir. I participated in Infosys, but I did not get the final offer letter from them. But apart from that, I also participated in the recruitment drives of the local coachings of India. For example, I was offered a role for teaching physics in Resonance, India. That was the one offer that I got. So
Okay, so you accepted the offer or not?
no, sir, I did not accept the offer, and since then I've been preparing for UPSC itself. So
Okay, so Kota is a coaching factory.
yes, sir.
Do you think this is having a good impact on education and economic progress?
So lately, Kota has been described as a coaching factory, which I would not say that is a correct representation of the image of Kota. With its impact on education and economic impact, first I would like to discuss the economic impact. The contribution of coaching industry in the annual GDP of Kota is almost about 1/3. That is a huge contribution, and it has provided jobs to lakhs of people in various main coaching industry and affiliate services like mess, catering to etc. The impact on education, sir, coaching industries, I think, prepare students for particular kind of exam. They promote rote learning. They promote only exam oriented approach towards education, and as such it overall reduces the analytical and critical abilities of the students when they pursue the other choices of interest, and as such it hampers the overall development. But since our education system is that we focus on passing exams in order to get jobs and admission to prestigious schools, the mushrooming of coaching industry has been happening, and overall I would say that for clearing the exams the impact has been positive, but the overall educational development of the student, it has been almost kind of a mixed bag response. So
Industry is complaining that now the engineers are not employable. Maybe because of the impact of coaching and also because the training institutions are not properly educating the engineers.
sir, a recent report has highlighted that almost 40% of the engineering graduates that are coming out of engineering colleges everywhere are unemployable because of various factors like lack of practical knowledge among them, outdated syllabus of the colleges, etc. Yes, sir, it is an unfortunate reality that this is happening, but I would blame the overall engineering scenario. Since the last 10 to 15 years, there have been huge growth in the number of colleges, especially the engineering colleges across the country, which has led to substandardization of the engineering education in India. We have seen a lot of engineering graduates, but since especially the private colleges are only concerned about making profit, quick profit out of the education of engineering, this has led to the subpar standards of the engineers, and as such they are becoming employable, sir.
Do you think this is a policy failure on the part of government, and should they intervene to regulate it?
Sir, I would not completely blame the government for this kind of a situation arising today. Yes, government is quite responsible for that, partly since the updation of the syllabus with regards to the industry demands the industry academia linkages, etc., the policy framing has to be done by the government. And the government in recent times, with the introduction of the national education policy, has been taking various steps. For example, introduction of engineering in vernacular languages, apart from that multiple entry and exit options, etc. So I am hopeful that in future the employability of engineering graduates is bound to improve, sir.
Why have you chosen the word bound to improve? Are you so sure about the impact of new policy measures?
Yes, sir. I am very hopeful that since these kind of measures that have been taken, they will enable a positive impact on the engineering scenario of the country. For example, most of the graduates in the state government colleges, they come from rural backgrounds and they are initially uncomfortable in studying in English. With vernacular medium of education, there will be greater understanding of the concepts of engineering and other steps that the government is been taking. So yes, sir, I am very hopeful that the positive impact will be
Okay,
there.
Faizan. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Faizan, how are you?
Yes, sir. I am very fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Tell me, you have been discussing about this coaching thing with
Yes.
Chairman, sir. You said coaching institutes are promoting rote learning.
Yes.
Is it is this proposition which you have just said equally applicable for UPSC coaching institutes? Are they also promoting rote learning?
Sir, I would partly agree. Yes, since the demand of every competitive exam in India is such that you need to clear the exams, you get a rank, and ultimately you are provided some kind of an employment or a service. The pattern of the exam is that.
So the constructive interpretation of what you are saying will
Yes.
be you are not happy with the system, the
Yes.
examination system in place.
Kind of so.
Acha. And you have at the outset when you were giving your introduction, you told that you are a very honest person.
Yes.
Tell me honestly, have you taken coaching for this examination? Any coaching you were enrolled with?
No, sir.
Online, offline?
Sir, I did not take any coaching for the preparation of UPSC exam, but although I did appear for, I did had taken coaching while I was preparing for my IIT entrance examination.
So for this examination, you didn't go for any mock interview session or any mock test for mains examination? No, you didn't? Any PT mock session? You didn't do that?
Yes, sir. Mock interviews I did take, and I had enrolled in mains answer writing session with a few coaching
So you did
institutes.
compromise with your principled stand. You are of the view that all is not well with coaching institutes, but still you compromised. I personally feel means you have thrown your ethical identity to winds
Yes.
only to gain something, to be part of civil administration. So for you, everything is fair when it comes to cracking the examination.
Sir, I would say that since I've read a lot of Rumi has said that to do a great good, do a little wrong.
Okay.
So, sir, for achieving the greater good, for clearing the exam, I think some of the compromises, I would not say it is a compromise per se, but this is the option that is available as to clear the exam, sir. So for that,
But you have a very revolutionary kind of thought. I'm of the view that you should be outside the system and then bring about some constructive changes. Anyways, but you want to be part of a system. Let's hope what changes you are going to introduce.
Thank you, sir.
You have studied from St. Paul's School, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you please tell me what is the criteria to grant sainthood to anybody? Like Mr. Paul was given this sainthood, that's why he is called Saint
Yes, sir.
Paul. What is the criteria?
Sir, although I'm not aware about the
So then leave it.
Okay, sir.
Can you please tell me any Indian who has been given this sainthood?
Yes, sir. Sir, recently one sister nun from Kerala, she had been granted sainthood by the Vatican.
So
Sir,
you have
I'm not
forgotten
able
the
to
name
recall
of
the
Mother Teresa. She was also crowned with this sainthood.
Okay, sir.
Anyways,
Thank you, sir.
now tell me one thing. Your father has been assistant station master, right?
Yes, sir.
The recruitment was done by RRB, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you expand this RRB?
Sir,
What
RRB
does
stands
RRB
for
mean?
Yes, sir. RRB stands for Railway Recruitment Board, sir.
Railway Recruitment Board. Very
Yes.
good. Also, I was going through your detailed application form.
sir.
You have given first preference to IAS.
Yes, sir.
Number 2, you have accorded to IPS,
IFS, sir.
IFS, and number 3, you have given to
IPS.
Indian Police Service.
Yes.
You just forget about Indian Foreign Service.
Okay, sir.
I am presuming number 1 will be administrative service, number 2 will be police service, right?
Okay, sir.
But when it comes to opting for Delhi Andaman Nicobar Police Service and Civil Service, the order is reversed. You have given preference to police service over administrative service. Why?
Sir, the police services of the Union Territories are directly under control of the central government, and as such, there are greater chances for promotion and career growth opportunities. I think
Okay.
that is one of
So
the
I
reasons.
presume you have studied the rank hierarchy of promotion in
Yes,
police
sir.
services. Tell me, initially, as Group B officer of DANIPS, you will be appointed Assistant Commissioner of Police. Now, just tell me the rank hierarchy. If you get the first promotion, the second promotion, the third promotion, what will be the rank hierarchy?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not able to recall
I
that.
mean, it is perplexing.
Yes, sir.
You are misleading us. You haven't prepared, things, and you are just telling I have gone in greater detail and
Yes.
made an informed choice. I'm giving one opportunity. Are you admitting you are misleading us?
No, sir. I would not admit that.
You would not
Sorry,
admit
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. My last question to you. Taliban has become a political reality, right?
Yes, sir.
And the apprehension is that Taliban will be ruling by dint of Shariat law, right?
Yes, sir.
And Taliban has been touted to be anti-women. Can we presume by this logic that Shariat law is anti-women?
Sir, Shariat law as a system of legal interpretation is based on differing interpretation of the religious scriptures of Islam, that is the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet. Now, since there are varying different interpretations, there are some hardline extremist interpretations, and I believe that has to do more with the patriarchal
So you are
nature.
saying it's all about interpretation.
Yes, sir.
Just
I
as we have a system of Supreme Court, when any question which is open to varied interpretation,
Yes, sir.
in order to have an authoritative opinion, we have a system of court. Why can't we experiment with such things so far as interpretation of Shariat law is concerned?
Yes, sir. I will agree that this kind of system that we have in India in the form of the Supreme Court should be established in the country of Afghanistan also. But since the Taliban does not believe in the rule of law, then I think it will not be possible over there, since it will be compromising with their authority and power over the people.
Thank you, Mr. Faizan, and hope you didn't mind my hostile line of questioning.
No, sir. Thank you
You're
very
happy
much,
now?
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Faizan,
Yes, sir.
you just used the term integrity while you introduce yourself,
Yes.
right? And what is integrity per se?
Sir, integrity in simple words can be defined as being consistent in your thoughts, in your action, as well as in your speech also, sir. For example, if a person says, I am honest, he has to be doing actions also which commit the same line of his thought in all the conditions that arrive to him. So, sir, that is, I think, what is integrity is.
What integrity sense for an administrator?
Sir, for an administrator, there are various kinds of integrity, like the professional integrity, then the intellectual integrity. All are important for his for his service or the governance to the people. For example, it is an established law that taking bribe is unethical as well as illegal. But for example, if a person is taking some kind of a bribe and he's knowing that there will not be any action upon him.
Doing something in public office without external pressure
Yes, sir.
is integrity or not, in your sense?
Sir, doing illegal things without external pressure.
I
would say the
am
person is-
telling doing something,
Yes,
not
sir.
illegal
Okay, sir.
kind of thing.
Sir, I think it depends what is being done. That determines the integrity. Sir.
In terms of commercial activity like contract out, purchasing something, self-purchase or procurement?
Sir, if it is against the law per se, then it will go against the integrity principles. So,
Okay, just leave it. The term ethics and integrity
yes, sir.
are coming closer, right? What is your belief? Is it similar or it is likely to be the similar?
Sir, ethics and integrity these days have a lot in common and various overlapping subjects also. But largely, integrity stems from the various components of ethical principles. For example, honesty, flexibility, accountability, transparency. All these when compared, I think, gave rise to the principle of integrity. So,
Faizan, do you believe that minority communities are under threat in India nowadays, especially after forming the new government?
sir, I do not think so that the minority communities are under any kind of a threat. There have been various positive schemes that has been launched by the government itself. So I will not say that, for example, the Hunar Haat scheme, various scholarship schemes for the minority communities, even our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he's emphasizing on Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, then Sabka Vishwas, and now Sabka Prayas also, which means collective efforts of all, whether the minority or the majority community. So, sir, I will not agree that the minority is in any other kind of threat. And also, the recent PEW research has shown that the various communities of India believe in the common Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb, the various the principles of Vedic philosophy like karma, etc., are believed by minority communities also.
Which
So I believe,
articles
yes,
are
sir, it is a
dealing with
positive.
the minority?
Yes, sir.
Which articles of the constitution are dealing with minority rights, in fact?
Yes, sir. So various articles are there, but explicitly Article 29 and Article 30 that deals with the religious as well as linguistic minorities. Article 19 provides freedom of various kinds. Article 24 provides freedom of religion to minorities as well as majorities. So these are some of the articles of constitutions.
Your optional is anthropology, right?
Yes, sir.
And you have studied the caste system.
Yes, sir.
Why it is prevailing in India?
The caste system is just like any other form of discrimination. That has to do with the power dynamics of the society. For example, in the Western countries, racism is very prevalent, which stems out of the white community's desire to overpower and dominate and exert their hegemony over the blacks, so that they can convey that yes, we are superior over you. By similar rationale, casteism is also prevalent, so that the upper caste community can exercise their power and hegemony over the lower caste.
Why Supreme Court was in favor of caste-based reservation system in Indira Sahni case? Do you believe that it has made stratification in our society?
Sir, I will say that stratifications were already prevalent in the society even before the reservation system was implemented in India. As we can see from the atrocities that have been committed on the lower castes.
What is the rationale behind the caste-based reservation?
So the rationale primarily is to undo the historical wrongs and the social ossification that has been dealt to the lower sections of the society, to bring them into the mainstream and make them inclusive and contributive to the development of the country overall, to increase their participation in the governance of the country and education systems. Reservation was primarily brought in.
Have you gone through the Indira Sahni case? What Supreme Court exactly says?
Yes, sir. So Supreme Court in Indira Sahni case dwelt upon two types of principles. First of all, they decided that the principle of reservation cannot be extended to more than 50% of the total post or total educational seats that are there in educational institutions. Secondly, sir, they have introduced the concept of non-creamy layer. For example, they have dealt that a particular section of the communities which are socially and educationally or economically influential should be kept out of the benefits of the reservation. So,
Okay, finally, do you have any blueprint for the removal of the caste system in India?
sir, I think interfaith marriages, as was also preached by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, will reduce the animosities or the misconceptions of various castes towards each other. Apart from that, sir, strict implementation of various laws that we are having, the SC/ST Atrocities Act, the abolition of manual scavenging acts, etc. On the educational front, thirdly, the government has to do much more. For example, giving out more scholarships so as to educationally advance the backward classes. These are some of the things that can be done, sir.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Faizan,
Yes, sir.
you seem to be a very bright student right from your school days, isn't it?
Thank you, sir.
And you have just told us that you were also got a rather opportunity to teach physics.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually surprised that when you were so sound in physics,
Yes, sir.
then why did you opt anthropology? Why didn't you go for physics as an optional for UPSC?
Sir, honestly, my first motive for choosing anthropology was that anthropology has a limited syllabus. And by taking anthropology, I could focus on other subjects in UPSC, in GS, essay, etc. So that would allow me more time to devote to these subjects. Secondly, sir, when I was trying to pick subjects for my optional in UPSC, I felt some kind of an interest in the subject of anthropology, since one of my senior was already studying and preparing for UPSC with the same optional. So these were the two reasons that I went for anthropology over physics, sir.
I'm still surprised. I mean, something that you have studied right from your school days as a
Yes, sir.
subject called physics, and you have been a master of physics also because of your BTech in mechanical engineering.
Yes,
Yet you have opted something which you have never read, you have never even studied, because anthropology is not taught in schools.
yes, sir.
All right, but this is still something very surprising for all of us. Okay, nevertheless, tell me something that should the government allow the talks between Srinagar and Islamabad?
Sir, I think the talks between Srinagar and Islamabad goes against the principle of integrity and sovereignty of Indian Union as a whole. When we are allowing states, and in those states, for example, certain elements might be there, anti-national elements, if we are allowing them to converse with a country that has a stated policy of bleeding India with 1,000 cuts, I think that will not serve the purpose of the Indian Union for establishment of peace and tranquility in that union territory. So, sir, personally, I am not in the favor of allowing these talks, sir.
Okay, I also support your argument, what you have just said.
Thank you.
Tell me another very interesting thing, that why the government of India has not banned Hurriyat Conference. On the other hand, it has banned the JKLF long back.
Sir, the policy of government of India in dealing with Kashmir and the Kashmiri political parties has been long evolving since India achieved independence. Earlier, it was based on negotiations and conversations, engagement even with those sections which had interest opposed to that of India. However, with the new foreign policy of India that has been followed by since 2014-2015, India has been very assertive, and as a result, I think they have not banned the Hurriyat, but they banned the JKLF, sir.
Are you sure what you are saying that? Do you know about the reason that why the government has not banned Hurriyat Conference, and on the other hand they have banned JKLF?
Sir, I may not be aware maybe about the exact reason, but sir, in my limited knowledge, this is what I know, sir.
Okay, what are the ideologies of Hurriyat Conference and JKLF?
Yes, sir. Sir, the Hurriyat Conference is the political arm of the Kashmiri separatists who want to merge the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir with the Republic of Pakistan. That is their stated ideology. With regards to that of JKLF, sir, I am not exactly able to recall what is their ideology, sir. I'll have to go and read more about it, sir.
Okay. What's your stand on Article 370 being revoked by the government recently?
Sir, Article 370 was a special and a temporary arrangement between the Union of India and the state of Jammu and Kashmir after independence, through which Jammu and Kashmir acceded to the Indian Union. Sir, to enable complete integration of the UT of Jammu and Kashmir into the Indian Union, it was necessary that Article 370 had to be revoked, so that, for example, the various laws, that progressive laws that the government was making for the welfare of people could be completely applied to Jammu and Kashmir. For example, the RTA Act or the National Food Security Act, etc. So, sir, in my opinion, it was a right step in the right direction, and it has enabled peace and tranquility in the state of, the UT of Jammu and Kashmir, and I think that was a step in the right direction, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Faizan, how are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
doing?
I am fine, thank you, ma'am.
Faizan, we recently saw this case
Yes.
where there was a female sports person and she was wearing a hijab
Yes.
while playing her sport. Are you aware about it?
No, ma'am, I'm not aware about that.
Okay, I am giving you the details.
Okay, ma'am.
Faizan, please tell me what kind of idea or how good an idea is this to mix sports and religion?
Ma'am, I think the idea of wearing hijab is not only linked to religion. For example, from what I can recall, recently the women's gymnastic team of Germany also, they wore full-length ankle suits for doing their gymnastic stunts. Although the unitards have been allowed in gymnastics as per the federation rules, they defended it on the grounds of bodily integrity and their choice to wear whatever they want. Even the Indian Constitution has respected and allowed people to wear clothes, to wear food under Article 19, freedom of choice and expression. So I think I will not see through the angle of that we are mixing religion with sports, rather than it is a matter of exercising your choices in whatever you do, rather be it sports or other things, ma'am.
I see that you have headed social media cell.
Yes, ma'am.
Give me some creative solutions to handle cyberbullying.
Ma'am, cyberbullying primarily stems from the fact that the perpetrators feel a sense of impunity, that they will not be punished for their acts. I think first of all, the awareness has to be spread with regards to that. People are not aware that what are their channels through which they can address their concerns of cyberbullying. So that, ma'am, that can be done. Secondly, the already prevailing laws, for example, the IT rules that we have, I think that they can be better implemented. These are the two things, ma'am, that I can recall right now.
You are interested in traveling.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the last place you traveled to?
Recently I traveled in Delhi itself to Humayun's tomb and the Qutub Minar complex.
Can you tell me how many sites does Archaeological Survey of India take care of in Delhi? Can you guess the number?
No, I'm not aware about the number of that.
Okay. Faizan, you just now mentioned that it is okay to do a little bad for greater good.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say your political bosses are asking you to lie in a situation of riots.
Yes, ma'am.
You are the one who has to go out and lie to a mob of 1,000 people.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you do that?
Ma'am, if my act of lying will help curtail the riots and will go,
You have to give me an answer whether you will do it or you wouldn't do it.
ma'am, if that will be able to stop the riots, I will do it, ma'am.
So you will lie.
Yes, ma'am. To prevent the riots and the bloodshed of the people, I think that will be the sensible thing to do at that time, ma'am. Later
so in
on,
that
I may give the
sense, do you think we can justify corruption also? Because it is just a little act of bad, but it is helping in lubricating the economy, which is greater good.
Ma'am, I think corruption, I do not believe that even a little corruption will help in lubricating the economy, because little by little, the cumulative impact of corruption is very high on the economy itself.
Little by little, cumulative impact of lying is also very high in eroding the social consciousness of our society.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, but when we take the example of corruption, I do not think that even a little...
I think you are unnecessarily defending yourself. I think you should secede and say that whatever you have said was a lie.
No, ma'am, I would not like to agree with that. But yes, your point is also correct. I think when it comes to corruption, ma'am, little corruption, as you said, lubricating the economy,
Okay,
I do
let's
not
end
agree
this.
with
Tell
that.
me one thing. You are a very cheerful individual.
Yes, ma'am.
And we have been taking interviews since morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me one thing that you think would cheer up the board.
Ma'am, the recently concluded Paralympic Olympics, India has achieved a record haul of 17 medals overall and more than 3 Olympic golds. I think as a person who is interested in sports, this will help in promoting the soft power of India as well as furthering the socio-economic and developmental cause of the specially abled in India. I think, ma'am, for me that is a reason to cheer, that India is performing well in the sports, and especially our specially abled citizens of India. They are representing India at such a huge scale. I think that is something to be cheered. Thank you, ma'am.
Faizan,
Yes, sir.
who won a medal for India in table tennis?
She was Bhavina Patel. She won a silver medal in the Paralympics Class 4 2020.
And who she was playing with?
She was playing, sir, individual events. I do not exactly recall the name of her opponent against which she lost the match. So.
Okay. You have said that you like traveling. What's the difference between travel and tourism?
Sir, traveling, from what my limited knowledge tells me, it is an informal term. When you travel to a place, you try to know more about the people. It is based on some kind of an ad hoc arrangement. Whereas for tourism, you have specially an pre-planned goals, that what will you be doing when you are touring a particular place. I think, sir, this is one of the prime differences between the two. So.
Okay. Being a student of anthropology, do you think globalization should weaken caste consciousness?
Yeah, theoretically and ideally, globalization should weaken the caste consciousness. And as such, one of the anthropologists, M.N. Srinivas, also said that globalization would lead to the eradication of caste system. But India presents a unique case where globalization and further deglobalization is rather strengthening the caste identities. I think that has to do with more of politicization of caste rather than the evils of globalization.
So do you support conducting caste census?
Yes, sir. I am in favor of conducting caste census, sir, because that will help implement the Supreme Court judgment in the Nagarajan case, where they have implemented that SCs and ST there should be a criteria of creamy layer also.
So do you also believe and support the fragmentation of reservation for OBCs on caste basis?
Yes, sir. Because various reports have highlighted that a particular sections of the OBCs have cornered most of the reservation benefits, and most of the castes did not get any benefits from reservation. In the light of that, subcategorization through caste census will help further the welfare principle of Indian state and ensure the benefits of reservation reach to the people who really need them. So
should we also apply this subcategorization in scheduled caste and scheduled tribe?
Sir, this is a topic of debate, but in my opinion, I think the same problem of reservation that OBCs suffer, SC/ST is also seen. Some of the castes of SCs and STs has cornered most of the benefits of reservation, and the principle of creamy layer, in my opinion, I think it should be applied in
what
that
will be
also.
Political implication of this subcategorization of OBCs and SCs?
So there will be various political implications. For example, the primarily will be the loss of vote bank for particular parties which base their politics on caste-based identities. That will be the primary goal. Secondly, sir, some analysts have pointed out that it may lead to destabilization in various states also. I think these are two of the implications that can happen. So. that I
And
can
what will
recall
be
right now.
economic implications?
Sir, I'm not able to recall that economic.
Okay, you are from Rajasthan, and Rajasthan there is a debate going on to rewrite history, particularly the Battle of Haldighati.
Yes, sir.
What kind of history we should teach to our children? The history which is based upon some lies, which does larger good, or which the history which is based on objective facts?
Sir, I think it is said that those who do not learn from history are bound to repeat it. And learnings from history can only be achieved when objective-based history is taught. When we talk about the Battle of Haldighati in Rajasthan, it is a debate among the historians themselves that whether there was an ultimate winner in that Battle of Haldighati. And I believe, sir, more research is to be needed to be conducted on this topic. And whatever the outcome is, that should be taught in the school, sir. So objective and authentic history should be taught, sir.
It is said that Rana Sanga invited Babur to defeat Ibrahim Lodi, and after defeating Lodi, Babur chose to defeat Rana Sanga also.
Yes, sir.
That means Rana Sanga chose a policy to side with one power to weaken the other power.
Yes, sir.
In foreign policy, we are siding with America today in place of Babur, so as to defeat China, which is in place of Ibrahim Lodi. Do you think this is a visionary policy?
Sir, India's stated foreign policy is based on strategic autonomy and issue-based multi-alliances. India is not only siding with USA, but India is keeping its options open. India is also siding on various issues with China, with Russia, and with other countries of the South. So I will say that we are not putting all our eggs in a single basket, and we are not completely siding with USA. And I think this policy of multi-issue based alliances will help India furthering its own cause in the region. So,
Was Rana Sanga right in his policy?
sir, at that time, what Rana Sanga thought could have been right. He was asserting his own autonomy, looking to consolidate his own kingdom, but maybe he did not know the future consequences of what will happen. If he could have made some other alliances with other kings and princely states also, maybe that would have been in his favor. But sir, that is history. And
Okay,
it's
nice
like
talking to you, Faizan.
Thank
Your
you,
interview is
sir.
over. You may go now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, what's the meaning of this word Faizan?
Sir, Faizan means someone who is beneficial to others. It means beneficence.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is your overall second attempt in UPSC and
Yes, sir.
first interview.
Yes, sir.
So how prepared do you feel? Which are the areas which you have discovered that they are weak areas and you'll have to be attentive a little bit?
I think, sir, for example, one of the questions like political implications and these, I have to work a little bit on that. I think the best thing is that I did not feel my confidence dropping down at any instance whenever sir was in a hostile line of questioning. I think that was a good input for me over here. And apart from that, some of the questions on social media, I think I need to work a little bit more on that. And sir, overall, this is how I feel.
Okay. Faizan, of course, you are a very good candidate.
Thank you, sir.
There are many good attributes. Your entry is good. Your greeting is good, but you have to be a little more attentive to the fact that you have to show extra courtesy to lady members.
Okay.
If you find any lady member in the board, you have to greet her especially.
Sure.
Okay, while not only entering the hall, but at the time of exit also.
Yes, sir. I
Be
will
more
keep that in
particular
mind.
about this. Your sitting posture is good. Your hand placement is also good. Your eye contact was good.
Thank you, sir.
Your communication skill is very good. That
Thank
means
you,
you have
sir.
got good flow of communication. You have got good vocabulary of words.
Thank you, sir.
And that's a powerful point of your personality.
Thank you.
But you have to use it a little more cautiously.
Okay, sir.
You are very verbose in your introduction. You should be more structured
Okay, sir.
and precise and to the point.
Okay, sir.
Because of the verbosity of your own introduction, you invited several hostile questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
You
will
got
keep
this?
that. Yes, sir.
So,
वहीं पे पकड़ में आ गए सही बोल रहे सर
Yes, sir. वो उसका मैं ध्यान रखूंगा.
हाँ हाँ
so be cautious, precise, and structured.
Okay, sir.
Okay, they're in the board.
Thank you, sir.
And while you're feeling pressure
Yes,
a
sir.
little bit, you may be feeling a little bit cornered.
Yes, sir.
you are still required to have balance of judgment.
Okay, sir.
See, on the question whether minorities are feeling threatened here,
Yes, sir.
you were determined to prove that there is zero threat perception,
Okay, sir.
which is not fact.
Yes, sir.
You know that.
Okay, sir.
The threat perception may be partly valid, partly invalid,
Yes, sir.
but the fact is that there is a perception of threat,
Yes, sir.
and there are certain incidents which have accentuated that threat perception.
Yes.
So you have to be neutral and you have to show balance of judgment.
Okay, sir.
You don't need to be prejudiced for or against
Yes, sir. Sure.
any government policy measures. This is social phenomenon, and see, until the bureaucrats are able to see
Yes, sir.
the new social trends emerging, they'll not be able to react to that in a constructive manner.
Okay, sir.
If these are negative social trends emerging, you should be able to first appreciate it, acknowledge it, and then respond it in a constructive manner,
Okay, sir.
so as to give it a proper direction.
Right.
So for that, there should be a balance of judgment, and there should be courage to politely, of course,
Accept
in
that.
accept it. So that's about it. And you're making some strategic mistakes in your communication, that is content wise.
Yes, sir.
On several occasions, you are making sweeping remarks.
Okay,
See,
sir.
middle path is better. You can't be very sure about things which are of social nature,
Okay, sir. Like that education policy question.
whether it is education policy or quota. See, there are many bad things about coaching, everybody is recognizing,
Yes, sir.
but again you have to show a little bit balance. That you say that yes,
sir.
coaching has been promoting rote learning, it is killing creativity among students, but at the same time it say some praiseworthy things
Positive
also,
things. Yes, sir.
so that you look neutral, unbiased.
Yes.
Administrators should be neutral. See, a state must be neutral in market.
Yes, sir.
It should not be party to A or B
Yes, sir.
kind of thing.
Okay,
So
sir.
neutrality is required to be displayed so as to prove integrity.
Yes, sir.
Once you are party to one or the other member, your integrity gets under question.
Yes, sir. True.
Okay. So avoid making sweeping remarks. You said that to save lives, to avoid, let's say, any kind of riot.
Right.
If some kind of lie is also required to be told, that's permitted in the law. That is
Yes, sir.
prescribed in the law. If you look into IPC,
Yes, sir.
that prescribes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and once a particular action is prescribed by law,
Yes, sir.
it's not material whether it is lie or truth.
Oh.
It is called legal action.
Okay, sir.
So rather than saying that I'll be telling lie or telling truth, you should say that whatever law requires me to do,
Yes.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Yes.
Okay, go by the law.
Yes. So I was not actually aware about the illegal phenomena of that.
Even
thing.
if you are not
IPC.
aware,
Yes, sir.
if you are unknown about, take the protection of constitutional law and general laws of the country.
Okay, sir.
That as an administrator, whatever law requires me to do to handle such situation,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
be proceeding to do that.
Okay, sir.
If law requires me to tell a lie, I'll tell a lie.
Okay, sir.
If law requires me to tell the truth, I'll tell the truth.
Okay, sir. I'll take care of
To
that.
make it safer,
Yes.
to avoid kind of debating kind of questionnaire there. And you have to also understand that and try to enjoy that they are senior members.
Yes, sir.
You have to take advantage of their wisdom
Yes, sir.
and not try to instigate any kind of debate with the members.
Okay, sir.
So you have to be quite smart in your thought process, that how to formulate your sentences,
Yes, sir.
so as not to instigate any kind of
Okay, sir.
debate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that way you can make your entire interview a smooth sailing kind of experience. Okay.
you,
Otherwise,
sir.
you are having remarkable qualities. That means, as I have said initially itself, your faculty of analysis is very good.
Thank you, sir.
For example, your answer on that US versus China was very good, very impressive.
Thank you, sir.
And even on subcategorization of reservation, etc., valid, very good. That means intellectual faculty is advanced.
Thank you, sir.
Your communication skill is good.
Thank you.
I hope if you take these precautions, your personality would be more impressive.
Yes, sir.
And
Sure, I will
perform
do
better.
that, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.